Welcome to Obscure Chatter, Episode 2. I am your host, attempting to sound like an NPR presenter and failing because, goddamn, that does a number on your vocals just from doing this, fake whisper thing. But I digress. Hi, I'm Terri Doty. Welcome to another installment, this time with a guest, Mr. Stephen Hoff. Hey, buddy.
Hello.
Hey.
How are things?
Okay. Social media is always a fucking nightmare. So that's been fun. Aside from that, pretty great. It's a really nice day and stuff's happening. So, this is the second episode. We are watching.
Why can't you say that?
I do not know. I am so
perplexed.
All right. So no matter what you say about this movie, I'm going to try my best, and by I mean both of us, to edit out relevant information that would immediately give away what it is. And by the way, if you totally guess what it is and you're right, I really don't know if I have it in me to pretend that you're wrong. But I'll try to be as cool as I can. But so before we get into who you are, even though I think I talked about you way too much in episode 1. It was really annoying. To recap, if this is your first episode, I'm just using movies that impact or say something about the guest or myself as the basis for the conversation and the rough runtime, which is approximately 2 hours. I think it's just a little under that. And we're going to, because it's really about the conversation that my guest and I have throughout the taping or recording, if you will, because I've not recorded on tape, I think, fucking ever. Is it's just about what the movie itself, or sometimes show, who knows, in the future, about what it brings up. So because of that, Stephen, for numerous reasons, because I mentioned it a little bit in the first episode, we mentioned in the conversation that you, me, and Sarah had that would say a lot about you. Why don't you tell me, how did you discover?
When I lived in Granbury, with my parents.
Sorry, I have to do that every time.
You do. And it's funny, because it's the way it sounds.
Granbury.
We lived out in the country, and there was a video store called Family Video that I would frequent because
is it like the franchise? Or?
No. I don't think it's I don't think it's the franchise. I think it just happens to be just like a little mom and pop shop. Back. I
wonder if that's still around, like Family Video proper is. That'd be weird.
No, I don't know. I think they shut down and moved to a different location, and then they just shut down. So I think it was just like a little mom and pop shop. But my...
you might hear Steven's beard occasionally.
Yeah, my beard has a life of its own. You might, oh God, I lost my train of thought already.
Sorry.
Yeah, out in the country, I didn't have any friends. And so my friends were my, videotapes that I'd get.
I can relate.
Yeah. So... I just found it at the video store. It had a cool cover, and it was in the horror section. So,
man, I missed that. I missed just kind of because that's how I got into, I think, Child's Play and all that. Is you just walk through the horror section, and you're like, "What's that?" Mm-hmm. Even if it's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of look at the cover and go, "Oh, that's kind of neat."
Or sometimes, what was it? Hellraiser 2 or 3, in the back of the old VHS had clips from scenes that were in no way in the movie. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's why I wanted to see this.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Family Video, awesome cover.
Yeah. And so I rented it, and I think at the time we had a rental for 3 days. And so I just watched it over and over and over again. And I don't know, it kind of vibed with me just because I was an outcast in that awful little town, being a little, weirdo metalhead in a very small town, nothing but rednecks. So it just made me.
I love a cool redneck, though.
Yeah. But it just made me feel comfortable. Just the outcasts in the movie, I could relate to, and I don't know, it made me feel good.
Well, isn't that something sometimes when you're watching something or reading something, because both Sarah and myself and you, although you tend to read more nonfiction than fiction, when you do read something, it's definitely got to very much resonate with your actual worldview. I've noticed, like, which is why, like, Going Bovine, I'm like, oh, you'd love this because it's kind of trippy and weird.
Yeah.
Not to say that you're like that character.
No, but
or maybe the gnome. That's actually like a god.
Yeah, I really like the gnome.
But that's the thing. Like, we think that, no one gets it, blah, blah, blah. But that's why we, just go to the music we like, the books that we like, the movies, the shows. And so often it's like, oh, yeah, it's the show about this loner. Like, well, it's a whole crew and cast. Someone wrote it, directed it, film company greenlit it, all this stuff. So clearly we're not alone in that thought process. It's a nice comfort to see, because the person who created this is clearly got a very active, very dark imagination, but which is not to say that we're dark or whatever, but we're definitely, I guess, what you wouldn't view as normal. Whatever the fuck that is. Because anyone that I think is like the quintessential, like, typical person, the second you get to know them, I'm like, oh, you're weird too. We're all weird.
Yeah, we're all weird. I don't know. I consider myself pretty normal. Even though I like, quote unquote dark stuff, to me, that's normal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, it's whatever. I obviously don't have a problem if you are weird. We've been married almost 10 years. Together for almost 13. Oh, shut up. But, man, you saying the family video thing. I used to work at this video store. Well, okay, I didn't really work there. I was just always kind of there. The year or so that I spent in Three Rivers, there was this video store called Cover to Cover, which anyone that I told about it whenever I moved back was like, that sounds like a bookstore. I'm like, it does, but it clearly used to be a restaurant. And like, I don't know. I always wanted to work at a video store when I was a teenager. And by the time I finally got a call from Blockbuster, I had just started a job at Super Salad. So I lost my chance. So my parents weren't like, please don't quit this job. I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's fucking Blockbuster. This is the dream.
And look at Blockbuster now.
Well, like, actually, like, talking to friends that work at Blockbuster, they're like, you don't want to work here. Like, yeah, but like, you don't, why would you want to do that? It's the quickest way to kind of like start getting a little agitated about film. But so just kind of hanging out there all the time, because there weren't a lot of places to hang out in Three Rivers, at least that I found. There would be normal, regular customers. And it was very soon when I found out, like, oh, you also have porn. But you keep it all behind the counter, and it's like, okay, here's, comes in every Friday. He doesn't care what you give him. Just give him something straight. I'm like, so I get to pick something, and this guy, like, knowing that this guy, and yeah, he's like the nicest, like, cool dude, but he's just walks up. It's like, hey, got something for me? And you go, here you go. It'll be da-da-da. And he's like, cool, see you in a couple days. And you're like, okay. That's weird.
So you knew what people liked.
Well, I mean, it's not like he came back and said, like, oh, this one scene just, mwah, or anything like that. But
and they were VHS tapes?
No, they were DVDs.
The fun thing about porn is on VHS, like, where you just left off at.
I would think. And I'm saying I would think, knowing full well this is what I did, is, no, you know that, and you rewind it. Oh. And just remember where to fast forward back to.
So it always looks like you haven't started it yet.
You're like, no, that's so stupid. I can't believe someone gave me this as a gag gift. I'm never going to watch it. But, okay, so family video. Mm-hmm. And this was I'd seen it, I think, once before learning that it was so important to you. I didn't know anyone that was really into it, but my friends growing up, in Arlington, Texas, we watched horror movies often. I wouldn't say that nobody didn't really share the same horror stuff as me, but as a kid, young, I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was watching like Hellraiser at fucking 10. Or Child's Play, again, is a big one. And, parents would be like, hey, you shouldn't be watching this. I'm like, hey, it's fake. Calm the fuck down. But we didn't really watch, as teenagers, I watched the weird, like, old school stuff, or like the campy stuff, like Evil Dead, or House, or House 2, a second story.
I liked House 1 better than House 2.
I think I saw House 2 before I saw House 1, so I was very confused at why it, like, when I finally saw House, why it was so much darker than 2.
Yeah. Not
even really thinking. I'm like, but there's like a caterpillar puppy in 2. Where's the caterpillar puppy? It's just about a dude that's sad his family's dead. What's that about?
Was it the same house? Or
no.
It was a different house?
I think it was a different house.
I wonder if it's like an anthology kind of thing.
Anthological. It's kind of like, what was it? I'm one of the few people that liked Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, because they're like, oh, after 2, we should make like the Halloween series like about Halloween itself and try to make it anthological. And everybody fucking hated it because they didn't know, like in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, they're like, oh, if Robert Englund's going to ask for this much money, we'll just get a dude in a mask, not knowing that Robert Englund was the franchise. That Freddy Krueger was the franchise. But like Halloween, they didn't know that Michael Myers was the franchise. Nobody gave a fuck that these were slasher films on Halloween. They cared about Michael Myers.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that was the same thing with Houses. I liked it because actually it was incredibly kid friendly.
The second one?
Yeah.
Yeah. First one's definitely not.
No, it's got, what was it? That dude from Night Court?
Mm-hmm.
Was it like Bull or something?
Yeah, Robert Mull.
Oh my gosh.
And it also had the dude from The Greatest American Hero.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air.
Yes.
Never thought I could feel so. Why'd you do this to me?
You did that to yourself. I didn't.
Wing and a prayer. Sorry. I have a feeling Pro Tools won't like that. This is an odd one because when we've done episodes of that anime show in the past, it's a 3-mic setup, and you're still in there. Mm-hmm. But now you're locked in a booth with me, so the session's just going. Who knows how this will turn out? So
it might crash. You never know.
Why would you say that? Forgive us. And I'm realizing I think you're playing the director's cut right now.
I didn't think I was. Like, I had that option, and I chose the non-director cut. But the scene's not in the normal one.
No, I guess we'll know whenever speaks.
Yeah.
Because that was a big thing. And if you're a horror fan, I think I'm giving too much away here, even with the beeps, or however the fuck we edit it.
Yeah.
You can tell right now, I still don't know. That's how I look whenever she's singing. They initially dubbed over with another actor. And of course he had spent all this time learning an accent. So in the director's cut of this, it's actually, I think they actually went back and had his actual audio or redubbed him. But that, like, I know what sounds like. I have an unhealthy obsession with that man's voice.
Yes.
With many people's voices, but Keith David, there are many. But, okay, so aside from, I'd mentioned and we'll figure out if it's director's cut. Now it's bothering me. I'd kind of mentioned, when we were talking about the fact that anime show didn't come back, and it's been over 5 years since we quit the show. You've since stopped being an engineer at Funny, even though we both you and I work with Funny all the time. You're just not an employee of Funimation anymore.
Right.
So what happened? Okay, like, let's assume that the people that are listening either really want to know like who the fuck you really are, what you do, or they listen to that anime show and it's been a minute and what the hell's been going on with you?
So I left Funimation. So while I was there and working on that anime show, I think there were even some episodes where we mentioned where I was going to school.
And the last one, you were doing homework.
Yeah. I put myself through college to get my bachelor's in environmental science. I believe the proper designation is natural resource management with an emphasis in ecological restoration.
That's
That's
everyone.
All. Yeah.
I know so many people.
So much. But yeah, I went through, put myself through school, left Funimation, and randomly I got a job at a mortgage company, being a financial analyst. Oddly, a lot of finance industries try to take scientists away because most scientists can look at the data and the Excel spreadsheets and whatnot and kind of extrapolate what's going on and present it in a way that's more understandable than people who have a finance degree. Because one of the classes that I had to take was communicating science to non-scientists, and that was basically to take all this information that we get and then kind of not necessarily dumb it down, but put it in a way that most everyday people can understand.
So you would be the character in a movie that goes through this whole jargon and, the one asshole detective takes out the cigarette and says, English.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And you go, this.
So I left Funimation.
You had root beer floats on your last day.
Not root beer floats, Guinness floats.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
That doesn't sound good.
It was actually pretty good. My boss.
So it's a root beer float, but with Guinness.
Yeah. So on my last day, my boss had not necessarily a going away party, but hey, you're leaving.
So long, thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, exactly. And so he bought a bunch of beer, and the audio department had, a quote unquote lunch, and he made me a Guinness float, and it was actually really good.
You rarely drink, but when you do, it's a dark beer, like a Guinness.
Yeah, it's a stout. Yeah. But yeah, so I left there and went to work for a mortgage company. And I was there for about 6 months. I told, I just kind of ran the numbers and kept on telling my boss that the company was losing money, that, he couldn't be spending money this way, blah, 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 left and right. And he'd always have an excuse of, that's just a one-time thing. Like this won't happen again. It's just a one-time issue. And within 6 months, he lost $450 million.
That's all, though.
That's it. That's all he lost.
What is that?
Yeah. So he didn't really understand the magnitude of how much money that was. And this is at the time when Greece was going on. So I told him he could have bought the entire country of Greece for that amount of money. Mm. And that finally kind of, stuck in his head. And then he said, with all that, we're going to have to shut down. So I got laid off. Then, I had plenty of time to, look for another job. Like I think you and I went to a con, and I forgot where it was. But we were coming back from the con, and like the day that we got back from the convention, is when I got the notification of, hey, we're all laying off.
Had just, and we're like, yeah, no, because there was a chance, like, people were going to get moved around or something.
Yeah.
And it was the flight back. Like, you got a notification when we landed on the phone, like, hey, you have 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah. And then, so my boss was able to make it to where it, was to the end of the year. And then finally, so all in all, it lasted probably about 3 more months before it was officially done. So within that time, I, looked for jobs left and right. I had a few job opportunities, but sadly, being somebody that's, mid-career change from the entertainment industry to science it was the pay was a little insulting, and
for someone mid-career.
Yeah, for someone mid-career, yeah. Basically I would have to take a pay cut, from the mortgage company, and even when I was working at Funimation, a pay cut from that. Mm-hmm. So it was just kind of like, well, I mean, I was making this in high school. Why would I want to make this when I'm 35?
Because that's typically what they would pay someone straight out of college, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So after a few months of looking around and trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I did not really want to get back into the entertainment industry. I ended up calling Christopher Sabat and saying, hey, I've got some time off coming up. And if you have any contract work, that would be cool. For the longest time, me and Chris were actually trying to work together, but things just didn't work out. As an employee of Funimation, he tried to kind of hire me with his business, Okratron 5000, and it just wouldn't look good. So he didn't want to, mess with any of the politics on that.
Which we both got.
Yeah, totally. I wasn't mad at him or anything, or Funimation. It was just the way it was. So
you just kind of felt like you were burned out.
Yeah.
With it. Not necessarily over it.
Yeah, not necessarily Funimation, but just as an industry as a whole. Because
engineering for.
Yeah, at the time I was engineering for about 20 years. I was a live sound engineer for the longest time. When we met, I was already running live sound. Before that, I worked at recording studios. So I've been in the industry for quite a while, and I just got tired of it. I just needed a change.
I get that.
Yeah, so I called Chris, and he was like, yeah. We got a project coming up. Turned out that it was Xenoverse 2. And so I worked on that as engineer and audio editor. And he was just like, yeah, it's just going to be, this until it's done. And then, 3 months later, I was like, hey, so what are we doing? He's like, oh, yeah. Like, it's just going to be till the end of the year. I'm like, okay, cool. And then at the end of the year, he's like, oh, no, we're just going to bring you on. I'm like, okay, cool. So I became an employee after that, and now I'm a producer, voice director, and audio engineer at Okratron 5000, where I've worked on Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2, Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
Is it Fighter Z or Fighters? I say it both.
Fighter Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that why all the 12-year-olds roll their eyes at me?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I'm not lying.
Yeah, it is Fighter Z.
There was even a kid that's like, Fighter Z? I'm like, and he looks at me like, yes.
Fighters.
Fuck off.
And I just hit the microphone. Oops.
You hit the,
No.
Sorry.
And so, yeah, Fighter Z, also Paladins and Realm Royale, and the new one that I can't really talk about yet. Smite. Donald Schultz is in charge of Smite. Yeah. And he also takes care of the live actions that we get in, and some of the random animes that we do for Funimation. Okratron 5000 is a contract studio for Funimation. We do Dragon Ball, but we are a contract studio for
I think that actually bums a lot of people out when they tour the studios of Funny, is they're expecting to see Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And no, that's 40 minutes away from here.
Yeah, it's done at a different studio.
But Funny does it. Just Raleigh Pickens, Christopher Sabat are the ones that are directing.
Yeah, exactly. So Raleigh takes care of the series. Donald has Smite and live action stuff and some anime. And then I take care of, I'm still getting DLC content for some of the older ones that we've been working on. But yeah, I think I've got 5 games that I'm managing right now.
I'm script supervising on a couple of them. Yes, you do. And
and I
game work is insane.
It is. Yeah, and I hired you to do some script supervising, as you just said.
Well, Christopher Sabat hired me.
He did. How did he hire you? He called.
I thought I mentioned that in the first episode.
I don't remember.
That because of the book I wrote and Sabat acting in it, he was like, "Hey," called me when I was waiting for a flight in the Admirals Club. Admirals Club is pretending to be French for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what about American Airlines says I should pretend to be French. his Sabbath's French accent isn't that bad. They're like, hello, Miss Doty. And this is me doing a really bad French accent. Like, you were wondering how you were liking the Admiral's Club. Like, dude, I have your number. And then, it's like, hey, so Stephen really needs help. Because, in most games where it's an international thing, more often than not, because of time, you're getting direct translations. And, unlike what I'm accustomed to seeing at most studios, you guys, Donald and Raleigh, do everything. So you're directing, engineering, and doing rewrites. It's a lot. So when it's something like that and you're pressed for time, I get called in to smooth stuff out so people can sound like people, because that's my strength. That's always been my strength whenever I would be in script writing classes or creative writing, is the dialogue. I really like jumping from character to character, being like, okay, well, so-and-so would say this, or blah, blah, blah. But what's also really cool about some of the video games we worked on is working on such long-standing franchises and having actors be like, and most of the time it's in a chill way where it's like, my character wouldn't say that. And like, well, I have to defer to you because you've been playing this character for like 2 frickin' decades. And yeah, like, okay, what would your character say that's kind of like this? Because I need like 5 more seconds of dialogue. What else would they say? Like, I don't know. I just know they wouldn't say that.
I can tell you what they wouldn't say.
I can tell you what they wouldn't say. Like, would they say this?
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, you're a better writer than I am. That's why you got brought on. I do not pretend to be a great writer. And when it comes to, in booth, when we're localizing those games, it's just like, I don't know what to add here because I'm not a writer. Usually,
I can be like on it. It's gotten so good now that actually, when I got brought on, in April of last year or March, the end of March, the beginning of April last year, I directed the last 2 episodes of Junji Ito. And, I didn't realize, cause when I directed, Ride Back or Baka and Test or, Shikabane Hime, I wasn't a confident script writer. So it, just shows how quick it would come because I would be watching stuff and be like, this is going to be short. And my engineer would be like, are you sure? I'm like, I can tell you right now. Yes. And, I think some actors are accustomed to like it being a minute, but now I'm used to that video game timer. Like, doo-doo. They're like, oh, okay. Like it's rewritten. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you don't have to deal with flaps with video. Well, on most video game localizations, you don't have to really deal with flaps.
Mouth flaps. Yes.
Some of them you do. The ones that we have been working on lately. Not
it's
so
both.
Much. Yeah.
It's both a little bit.
Yeah.
And then going, I don't know, but, yeah. So that's been fun. But aside from being producer man, which, is kind of crazy. I think that's just, something we've talked about several times where, you just don't know where someone's going to end up. Because as an engineer, being as a director and an actor, I've seen some people that don't get, the be nice to everybody. Mm-hmm. If anything, it just helps your karma down the line. But if you want to be shitty about it and really need a reason, like a more tangible reason to not be a shit, it's you never know where these people you're going to find these people again. So people that are so condescending or perhaps kind of treat engineers as less than, it's kind of funny when it's like, what? So-and-so's a producer now? I'll be like, yeah. And they remember how you like almost destroyed their $5,000 microphone because you didn't like the way it was placed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, most engineers will grow up and become producers or directors or sound designers or supervising sound designers and stuff like that.
Or actors too.
Or even actors. So it's just
other engineers that we've seen. Bevins, I think, started out as an engineer at Funny, and Tyler Walker, Zach Bolton, Justin Cook. Oh yeah, that's right. Chris George, phenomenal director.
Kyle Phillips.
Kyle. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yes, I met Kyle when I was interning, and he would like, you said that he had like a mohawk at one point. I don't remember the mohawk.
Yeah. 2006 or 2007, he had a pink mohawk.
No, he looks like the quintessential like dad character now.
Yeah.
He's got like the dad beard and like the like very cropped like combed hair. Well, he always wore a hat. I remember he always wore a hat. But he was an engineer on One Piece, and now the arc of Fairy Tale where Virgo turns evil, that was my first chance really working with him as a director. And I also believe that arc is the only time I ever got written up, at least positively, for Virgo. And I attribute that to Kyle just knowing, like, we both seen each other grow, let me play in a way that I wasn't used to being able to play with Virgo. But Chris George also, we met doing a video race together, and now he you're getting caught up in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's pretty rad. But aside from that, like with the degree, did you have, and I'm asking both as a wife that's forgetful and as a, host of the show of Obscure Chatter, hard-hitting journalism here. Was there an actual end goal specifically pertaining to you getting your degree in environmental science? I know at one point you said that you were thinking about becoming a teacher.
Yeah, I was thinking about becoming a teacher. I did want to work to get my PhD in some kind of science. Mainly, I wanted to get my bachelor's just so I could get a job and kind of get out of the entertainment industry altogether. I really liked being out in the field doing the sample gathering and actually getting the numbers down and just kind of not being in an office.
Yeah.
Being outside was kind of what I really wanted to do. And through that, I ended up listening to an NPR segment about acoustical ecology, and that kind of piqued my interest because at the time I was in school and an audio engineer, and
it's a really good marriage.
yeah, and it turns out that it's a thing. Like it is a type of science where you analyze the acoustics of an environment, and then you can kind of figure out either what's going on with noise pollution to the population in an area, or what's going on with the population numbers by listening to their calls and how they respond to each other. And you can non-invasively do a population management strategy that way. It has so many different applications. Like there's one study that analyzed the road noise from bridges and what that did to the population of fish that were around the pillars of the bridges with the vibration and everything. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that a certain species of fish just stopped breeding where those locations were, and that population started declining.
Wasn't that, that reminded me, like it was a couple weeks ago, who knows by how long this episode airs, there was a congressman that did something about that, where he had gotten permission from everybody else on the board, but he was asking, I forget who he was asking, but he had an air horn and found that the construction that this guy was directly involved in, the guy that the congressman was questioning, like the air horn would have had to have been amplified by 5,000 times or 500 times to really replicate the blah, 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 and said, how would that not affect, the wildlife in the area? And the guy was basically like, well, yeah, but they can go somewhere else. He's like, can they though? And it was just really interesting. And I actually had to message you. I'm like, this is the same thing that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I thought that was a good thing, but like, it's not necessarily a new science, but it's still, it would kind of fall into that same heading as being so new that it would be hard to really make a career at.
Yeah.
I'm sure people do.
Yeah. It's still very new. I think it's from the 70s, but even
like you.
I am. Even ecology itself is a new science. When ecology first came about, they didn't really consider it a valid science. They just considered it as like a soft science.
What's a soft science?
Psychology would be
okay.
soft science. So yeah, I mean, if enough people can form that career and form that field and prove that, noise pollution does affect the environment, then yeah, it becomes a valid science. Mm-hmm. So it's still, I'm still very interested in that whole thing.
Oh, it's still kind of like, even just in the neighborhood, sometimes I'll see, 'cause we live near an elementary school. There are always games going on, and that's usually a day that I won't see birds in the yard, and just very minuscule in comparison. But all right, so I'd say that because of school, this also, well, I still find it funny that you went into the financial sector, because it's just so not the Stephen that I'm accustomed to seeing.
Yeah.
You're a guy covered in tattoos with gauged ears. I forget, did you have to take out your plugs?
I did for the first few weeks, and then my boss was just like, yeah, you don't have to do that. I don't know why you're doing that.
But I think that happens with a lot of science majors, especially in Texas, because for science majors, the big thing is finance or oil.
Yeah.
That can be a generalization. Generalization. It has been a long day, and I'm French right now. Not anymore. Sorry, guys. But another thing about that is you are very good with numbers, and I really don't understand how you can figure out all these formulas. Like, I broke a formula. Just help me. How? I don't know, but you'll know in 2 fucking seconds. Help me.
Well, people who are good with math are generally bad in language skills, like reading and writing. And
then they know good talkie.
And they know good talkie. And then the reverse is true. Those who are really good at writing and language skills are bad at math.
I've done research in the subject, and I can tell you that, at least for me, that is very much the case. I was so bad at math. I took geometry twice, and I think I barely passed remedial math in college. Luckily for my degree, it wasn't until I was about to graduate that they're like, "Oh, you only needed to do that. You've done this," and just for the film, I really feel like this would be a bigger deal if I'd read the book.
Yeah.
It's that what's happening? I mean, I still love it. And anyways, we were talking about your growth as a person. And I don't remember how you started backup hunting.
I think during that anime show, we were both vegetarians. And, we did it all the wrong way. And
I became a vegetarian because I was dating a vegetarian.
Yeah. And that's generally what happens. But we kind of did it the wrong way and we weren't really healthy vegetarians. And so we were like, well, we could do all this and not eat meat substitutes and have all these other kinds of nuts and other sources of protein, or we can just have a steak and just be done with it.
Mm-hmm. You don't eat steak.
I don't eat beef. But just doing the numbers and the math on it just made more sense just to become meat eaters again. And then with what I learned in school with environmental science and everything, it made me realize that kind of farm-raised animals, like the big production industry farm-raised animals, were really bad for you. Just the food that they eat, they're not biologically able to digest that food properly, and it turns into fat. Like most farm-raised animals, like chickens, have a higher fat content than wild turkey. Farm-raised pigs have a higher fat content than wild hogs. Beef, cows have a higher fat content than elk or deer. It's just the nature of it because they eat corn, and that's what packs on the pounds. That's what gets them to market faster. That's what makes more profit. So getting back into hunting seemed like the logical next step to be healthier. We're,
already hearing the groaning.
Yeah.
Because there's this idea, like there's this image in your head of like the yokel that's like drinking beer the whole time, blah, blah, blah. But that's never been a hunter that I've actually seen. And I know most hunters, and it might seem condescending to some people, but most hunters I know are incredibly respectful of the animal.
Yeah. Yeah. And most hunters are by nature conservationists. As a hunter, why would I want to go out into a field and destroy a habitat where I get my food from? It just doesn't make any sense. A lot of people have the ideas that hunters just go out and kill for fun. Like, I don't enjoy killing. No,
you're not one of these assholes like, woo!
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, they're there.
Yeah, some people do enjoy killing, but I don't. Like, if I didn't feel anything when I actually killed the animal, like, I would just be kind of a psychopath. And so, yeah, I do it for, our health and our, food and everything.
It's grocery shopping.
It is. Like, who can say that they went out to the woods for a week and brought back enough food for the year?
There were people, because you posted about your last one, there were people that never talked to me, that actively sought me out. Like, so Stephen got a deer? Like, tell me about it. I'm like, I wasn't there, bitch. I don't know. Like, with the bow and arrow, because you don't hunt with a gun.
Yeah, I don't hunt with a gun at all.
But the story of the last one about you, because is it rules just in Texas, or is it everywhere? Like, you're not supposed to take the head? Or you are supposed to take the head?
Yeah, in Texas.
Sorry, guys.
Well, okay, so in Texas, proof of sex is keeping the head. You don't have to keep the genitals, but you do have to keep the head of the. I'm
sure it makes sense, but I don't understand.
Because of population management in Texas, you can, anytime you buy a hunting license, you automatically get 5 deer tag. You can use them all on does, or you can use 3 on does and 2 on bucks. Bucks being the males.
I know.
Well, those that don't.
Okay.
And the reason that they have so many doe tags is because that's the population management. You can kill, you can kill men, but the women are the ones that are reproduce. Biologically, men are just kind of there as like here's half the DNA and that's it. You guys, the females are the ones.
Don't lump me in with this animal that you're killing, please. That would be great. But that's why we have to kill you.
Yeah. No, females.
If anyone hears this recording, please say this.
But biologically, females drive the population. So if you want to control a population, you kind of control the population of the females.
Who run the world.
Exactly.
Girls.
But yes, you have to keep the head of the animal. Some states require you to take the entire animal and not field dress it. Texas allows you to quarter the animal and take it out as long as you have the head. And some states require you that you can't, because of CWD, which is chronic wasting disease, that you cannot cross state lines with any spinal matter. So a head.
Oh, all these rules.
Yeah. Each state is different. You have to learn the laws in every state that you hunt in. So you keep everything safe. And CWD is a huge problem out west. Basically, it's mad cow disease for deer. Nobody knows how it spreads. Nobody knows how it's contracted. There has been some recent studies that show that a species of monkey can contract CWD by eating the meat from the deer. So states where CWD is present, it is mandated that you take your animal to the check station. They'll run the tests and then contact you a week later if it's positive. And then some states say you can eat it if you want. Here's the results. You can destroy the meat if you want. We can come and take the meat away from you and destroy it. It's your option. But as somebody like myself who subscribes to the precautionary principle, I would rather be safe and just not eat it than eat it and then, 20 years later, like all of a sudden I have a bunch of holes in my brain.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
But
totally.
It's
holes in the brain that I probably already have. Huh?
Nah. But CWD is it is a problem. It's very scary, and unfortunately, here in about 50 years, we're probably not going to have any more hunting because of it. It's gonna spread, and it spreads to all deer species. So that includes elk, caribou, moose, deer.
Moose are considered deer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought they were.
Moose are the largest deer species on the planet.
It's the orca of deer.
Yes, it is.
It's me being a dick to my nephew when I'm like, hey, he's like, I love whales. And I'm like, what's your favorite whale? He's like, a killer whale. I'm like, actually, to a fucking 6-year-old, like, actually, an orca is the largest dolphin. And he went, like, yeah, you need to know that. Screw your imagination. Now, why don't you answer me? What's your favorite whale? And you can't say orca or killer whale. So, moose.
Moose.
Orca of the land.
Yes.
What is wrong? Sorry.
Derailed.
That's what I do.
That's
Welcome
awesome.
to Obscure Chatter.
What movie are we watching again?
But yes, okay, so we were talking about your last hunt. You did some field dressing?
Yeah. I hunt on public land here in Texas. Texas is 99% private land. So the 1% that is public land, we have the option to hunt on.
How do you know where? Oh, I don't know. I'm just wondering how you figure out where you can and can't go. Is there a one site, or you just kind of have to look where you go?
You kind of have to look on the Texas Wildlife and Game site on what is public land. They have it listed, where it is. A lot of public land in Texas it's kind of small. Some of it's designated as only for dove hunting, only for rabbit and squirrel hunting, only for hog hunting. There's very few public land parcels that have deer on them that you can hunt, especially in north central Texas like this. When you get out to West Texas, it's more mule deer out there in the desert, and that's a different type of hunt than white-tailed deer here. But yeah, you just look on the website and you can kind of figure out where you want to hunt. I found a spot close to the Metroplex, a couple of spots where I just go to the office, and the way one of them works is it's done on a lottery system. So I apply and say, hey, I want to hunt here. Here's my information.
It scared the shit out of me.
I hit the microphone again.
Sorry, let me move. I'm moving this. Better?
I'll probably still hit it because I talk with my hands. But so you go to the...
I talk with my... I'm sorry, I was doing hand puppets. It's so fucking stupid.
So you go to the website or to the office and be like, hey, I want to hunt here. And then they take your information and you get drawn for it. And if you get drawn for it, then you can hunt there.
The more we're talking about this, the more your accent's coming out.
Yeah.
Which everyone, if we're just traveling, people are like, where are you guys from? And I'm like, well, I'm a Navy brat, but I was born in Philly. But I've lived in Texas most of my life. They'll be like, yeah, but you were born in Pennsylvania. I hear that, Pennsylvania. But if you're with me, they're like, oh, you're from Pennsylvania too? Like, bitch, I'm from here.
Yep.
But you and Sarah, it doesn't really come out unless we're talking about Texan things, or if you're both tired or drunk.
Yeah. But yes.
All right. Lottery. If you get drawn.
Yeah. Lottery. If you get drawn, you can hunt. And as as taxpayers, we all own that land.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I can just go out to the land and have a permit to be on the land, and basically a parking pass to, be like, hey, we're just here.
So you need a permit even though it's public land.
Yeah, basically
to hunt.
To hunt, yeah.
Because I know you've run into like homeless people that are just there.
Yeah.
And you can't be like, hey, man, I'm trying to hunt.
Yeah, you're out there on public land.
Right.
It's everybody's to do whatever you want within reason,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I went to one unit and harvested the deer, and instead of dragging the deer several hundred yards to my car, I ended up, butchering it in the field where I skinned it, gutted it.
Sorry again if you're a squeamish customer.
Yeah. Quartered it, which quartering means that you remove the front and back legs.
Throw quarters on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Play that, what is it,
So
that beer
that-
drinking game, quarters.
Oh, God.
And then remove the back straps and the tenderloins. Basically, I took the entire deer carcass minus the skin and the ribs and the spine.
Yum.
Yes, yum. But I wanted to be able to use the entire animal instead of going to, a butcher, like dragging the animal to a processor and say, oh, just give me the meat, and then they don't give me the entire animal.
How the fuck do you find a process? I don't get. There's so many rules.
You just Google it. Just Google
no.
deer processing.
I refuse.
And
You're a hunter. You have to hunt it down.
Yes. Learn.
You don't Google like where is the nearest buck.
Yeah, if you're a hunter, learn how to process the animal yourself. You'll be able to get more cooking options from that animal than just going to a processing plant and say, just give me the meat, because then you don't get the bones, you don't keep the heart, you don't keep the keep the liver if you're into that. I don't like eating organ meat. I'll keep the heart, but like the liver and the kidneys I want to eat.
By the way, if you're an anti-hunter or whatever, totally fine. If you don't like wearing leather or anything like that, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and vice versa. I think when we were vegetarians, a lot of people are like, oh, right on. Like we were doing it for like a statement or something. I'm like, no.
No.
I mean, for some people it is. Other people it's dietary. But again, yeah. So you broke it down.
Yeah, broke it down, packed it up in my nice little Mystery Ranch backpack.
You and Mystery Ranch.
I love Mystery Ranch. They're great bags. So not only do they do hunting bags, but they do hiking and emergency bags, like for first responders, for firemen.
Mm-hmm. Firefighters.
Firefighters. Sorry,
Jesus, Stephen, it's
I'm
2019. Fucking hell.
But yeah, I quartered it up, put it in my bag, kept the head and brought it to
The hotel you were staying at?
Yes, I had to stay at a hotel because the place that I went hunting at that I was going to camp at was flooded.
We've been having some major flooding this past couple of years.
So all the campgrounds were closed indefinitely because of the floods. So I had to get a hotel room. So I brought it back to the hotel room and, just kind of
Dextered a whole room.
Not really Dextered a whole room. I, just kind of kept it where I needed to keep it and kept it cold. Because with Texas law, you can't process it fully until you get to your final destination. So being home is my final destination. So you have to keep it in, quarters and whatnot. Basically in case the game warden pulls you over and says, hey, what you got there? They can actually look at it instead of, a bunch of already like packaged up meat. But yeah. But so everybody freaked out because I did that.
No, well, I think it's because so many of us, I don't know, like camping is surreal for a lot of our friends. For me, it's just something I don't want to do. They're like, oh, so you're a little diva. Like, oh, not to be like all Sheldon Cooper or whatever, but I'm like, we spent quite an amount of time perfecting indoors.
This is true.
It's just not for me. I've enjoyed camping. I don't know if I've ever gone camping with you, but I think the last time I went camping was at Dinosaur Valley in Glen Rose with my dad. No, I'm sure there were other times. It's just not a really big thing for me. I wouldn't mind giving it a shot with you again. But the circumstances, pardon me, it would have to be right. And
yeah, I mean, I totally get it. You know, being comfortable is nice. I mean, the older I get, the less I want to shit in the woods. Can we cuss?
Yes, you can cuss.
Okay.
I was not looking at you because you cussed. I was looking at you because you gave me the image of you shitting in the woods.
Oh, okay.
That would be what I was giving you a face for.
All right.
You know what? I want to say from a very early age, I knew I didn't want to shit in the woods.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not a good thing.
Me.
So if we do, when we go camping, we'll do a state park that has, you know, bathrooms and, you know.
I'm like fucking Donna Meagle about this. You know, like, I want this, and like, it's that Ron Swanson, like, it's a hotel. You're describing a hotel. I've actually, like, had an e-reader, so it's like, well, no, I need like my at least 10 books with me. And like, no, you fucking don't. I'm like, don't I though? You never know.
You just need your Kindle and
yeah. And it's a beautiful thing, but yeah, camping is fun, and I really see why it's a really big deal to a lot of people. But anytime you've gone with our friends, they're like, holy shit, if it weren't for Stephen, we would have died. I'm like, why did you guys go then? But it's like, well, you know, I just wanted to have fun. But it was like every 5 seconds, it's like, Stephen, anyone that I hear that from. So then when they hear about you, like, you know, just being on your own, and your last trip, you'd made, where you caught this deer wasn't your last trip, but, when you caught it, it was on your first day. You hadn't even fully set up for the day, and you're like, I found it. I'm like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Like it was in the first few hours of me getting set up, where I harvested the deer. And yeah, it was just, that's usually how it works, where you go in, and some days it's just, you don't have any luck. Some days you see things and you can't get to it. Being an archery hunter, I'm very limited on how close I can get.
Without spooking the animal.
Yeah, without spooking the animal, and with doing an ethical shot. You know, usually.
What do you? I'm sorry. What do you mean by like an ethical shot?
As an archery hunter, my range on an ethical shot is probably about 60 yards. On my new setup. My old setup, it was 40 yards because of the way the sight was. Outside of that, I didn't have a 50 or 60 yard pin, so I couldn't confidently shoot that far and know that I would hit the deer. Whenever you're hunting, you want to make the cleanest, quickest kill that you can, so the animal doesn't suffer. So ethical shots are, can you see what's behind you, behind the animal? Can you see what's in front of the animal? Is the animal blocked by any kind of like shrubs or grass or whatever? Is the animal at a position that you can shoot them at? So are they quartered? Like, are they broadside? Are they at a point where, so like if the animal's facing you head on, I would never take that shot because I couldn't, I'm not confident in hitting the heart straight on. Where if it's broadside.
But you wouldn't want to hit the heart. Would you?
Yes.
Oh, you would?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm still confused.
Yeah, the ideal shot for killing an animal quickly is a double lung and heart shot. Like so it's broadside, you hit, through one lung, through the heart, and then it exits the other lung. That way, it bleeds to death really quickly. And that's what archery is. It's based off of the channel wound, letting the animal bleed to death, where gunshots works off of hydrostatic shock, which is...
What? What? I'm learning, like, I've seen, unfortunately, someone get shot, and I've never thought about that.
Yeah, it's the hydrostatic shock is when the bullet hits the body, it creates the shock wave in the flesh, which is 90% water, or 75% water. So that's the hydrostatic shock that the bullet causes. It's a shock to the system, not the actual blood loss that kills you.
What?
Yeah. So it's like you can shoot a deer head on, and that shock is basically like punching the heart directly, even though if you hit him in the shoulder, the shock wave still goes through the heart and damages the heart.
Jesus.
Yeah. And with that, you have more meat loss from it. Whereas...
Well, that actually happened because you and who, I don't know if he'll want us to name him.
Yeah.
So we'll beep it just
for
safety. But that was the first time you guys, I think, ever did something like that together and had a permit. Mm-hmm. And he killed it with a gun, and that was...
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it was just it was a bad shot. It was... a lot.
It was an ethical shot, but the animal suffered.
Yeah, the animal suffered a little bit. It was off.
Oh,
you
monster.
The sight was off. He didn't realize how far it was, and he sighted it in at 100 yards. And looking at the map later on, it turns out that it was a 200-yard shot, which is pretty hefty.
Damn.
So yeah, it wasn't a fun ethical, or it wasn't a fun shot.
I mean, since we're talking about ethical, can you, we've talked about it several times, like, you're talking about how you're not one of these people that's like, oh, hey, like, I fucking killed this, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, when I think of when I used to, and I think we all have that very tired trope of, like, the hunter, like, I'm just here to kill this thing, and blah, 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 or, and, the people that take photos with them is weird.
Yeah.
But, like, trophy hunting, can you, since we're talking about ethics and stuff like that, we're not going to talk about assholes that, like, take photos with, like, this, like, endangered animal or this animal that's now extinct that they're like, yeah, I killed this. And, like, yeah, you're a monster.
Yeah.
You're a dick. But, like, can you explain to me, like, since we're talking about hunting, I think we would be remiss if we didn't, like, talk about the trophy hunting thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so trophy hunting in a nutshell is you pay a fee to get a specific animal that is not necessarily considered game animal, so like a giraffe or a rhino or an elephant, something like that you would not necessarily find easily. Mm-hmm. So the idea behind that kind of trophy hunting is, say there's a wildlife preserve that has, for instance, a rhino, where the rhino is killing other rhinos, like it's a male rhino killing other male rhinos, killing baby rhinos, killing females, and it's not doing the population any good. It's actually reducing the population. So trophy hunting in this instance would be, a hunter pays a fee, say $100,000, to go and hunt that particular rhino. They're with a biologist, they're with the land manager, and both of them will basically say that's the rhino, that's the one we need to get rid of. And by getting rid of that one rhino, you're saving that entire population. Mm-hmm. So the hunter gets the trophy that they want. The conservation company gets the money that they need to go back into the land management. So it's just kind of a win-win, and the population then can, begin to thrive again because that one problem animal has been taken care of.
Yeah. See, I don't know, like, we had this, I think it was like the Adam Conover, the thing that he did about trophy hunting that really made me think, because we just have this idea. You kind of hear this term randomly, like, thrown out, and you're like, oh, bastard people, that poor rhino, or some, but it's in that same boat for me, like, as hunting or, just a lot of stuff. It's just, I was misinformed.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of it is just misinformation that's out there. And
it's still pretty prevalent because that was one of the reasons that you left Facebook, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was that, me and a lot of other hunters that I was friends with, particularly with me, I posted, it wasn't even any kind of hunting photo or anything. I was trying to sell a bow sight because I upgraded to a single pin bow sight, which basically means that I have one pin.
Oh, a single pin bow sight?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it has a dial, so I can kind of dial in and say, oh, well, that animal is 42 yards away. I can zone in and get it exactly where I need to be instead of going, looking at 3 or 4 pins and going, okay, I need this pin here. It cleans up my sight window where I can see the whole animal and just focus on one dot instead of having 5 or 6 dots in front of me. But I posted the old bow sight, and it wasn't attached to the bow or anything, and Facebook kept on saying that it violates their terms because it promotes violence and whatnot. And at the same time, a lot of my hunter friends were having their photos flagged for obscenity or obscene images where they would, show the animal, show it being butchered, show it being processed and then getting turned into food. That whole process was considered obscene. So I was just done with Facebook and just left because, it's like that type of censorship is just dumb. It makes no sense.
Well, and also I think it's for Facebook specifically, when that horrible shooting in New Zealand happened, that video that the shooter took of the streaming, like that stayed up for how long?
Yeah, exactly.
But your site immediately. Like, I don't get it, but,
Yeah. So it was just a weird thing. And, it comes to the question of when does a processed animal become food and not offensive?
Right. I think that happened to Steve Rinella.
Mm-hmm.
Like a great book and great channel also. What's his show?
Meat Eater.
Yeah. You got into that from Netflix, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's like, he's got a whole other thing. He's got a couple books and everything.
Yeah.
But, really cool guy. He's had people come up to him thinking he's like, all right, well, I'm a vegan, blah, blah, blah. Like here, I was wondering if you would read this brochure. And he's always like, very like chill about it. Like, all right, man, I'll read your brochure if you read my book.
Yeah.
But he's actually a lot nicer than that. But, he kept running into issues where he was trying to show how to like prepare a meat, and those kept getting flagged.
Yeah, those kept getting flagged too. So I just got tired of Facebook, and now I'm just on Twitter and Instagram. Desperately trying to promote my website
Desperately.
Desperately.
That shows desperation, the breathing.
Yes. My
Sound
website.
like the beginning of a Britney song.
Britney.
Britney Spears, you monster.
Oh, okay.
What other Britney would I be referring to?
No.
Britney.
Karbowski?
I mean, she's a phenomenal person, and one time we were at lunch, people thought that her daughter was our daughter, and that was nice.
Yeah.
They went out of their way to be like, by the way, your family's beautiful. And Brittany and I were like, thank you.
Thanks.
Like, damn right it is. But no, Karbowski, I believe, is an amazing singer too. I can't say for certain. I don't know if I've ever heard her sing, but great voice actor. But no, I was referring to Britney Spears. Like the, it's like, I'm just trying to make you laugh now. You got the booth madness is setting in.
It is.
But no, talking about your website.
Yes, my website, huntin.com. It's hunt-in.com. Like dash as hyphen, so hunt-inn.com. Lack of better words, it's Airbnb for hunters. Because Texas is 99% private land, it's really hard to find hunting land in Texas unless you go to a lease. Leases are very expensive. So I came up with the idea of, hey, there's got to be a website out there that is basically Airbnb for hunters. There's not a good one anyway where you don't have to pay a membership fee to even look at the sites, or that are just filled with outfitters. What my goal is to have basically like Farmer Joe down the road that has 40 acres and he's got issues with deer eating his corn crop. To do the same thing, to be like, hey, come in, you can stay here, hunt, and, just pay me a fee for it. that's just, the other states like Colorado and New Mexico and Oregon and Montana, a lot of Western states have really good public hunting land. But here in Texas, it's very limited and very pressured and very hard to be on. Last year, I met probably about 20 people out in the field just by walking to my spots, meeting them in the parking lot.
Kind of like being like, hey, I'm going to be here. You're not going to...
Yeah, and it was all respectful of going, hey, I'm going to be over here. Is that going to mess your hunt up? Or, hey, I'm headed over here too. Is it cool if we walk out together and like I can go over here? And, so it's just a matter of, kind of figuring out where y'all can hunt without treading on anybody's, quote unquote territory.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so my website, huntin.com, is what I'm trying to get going as well.
It's a good idea.
Thank you.
I think that's actually a really hard thing from what I've noticed from seeing you is seeing a new hunter. I think it's really hard being a new hunter now.
It is. That's the thing. Used to, when I was growing up, to find hunting land, you would just knock on doors. You would have to you would just have to go to somebody's house and be like, hey, I noticed you have some land. Does anybody hunt on it? Can I hunt on it? And now with the internet and social media, that skill is gone. Mm-hmm. Nobody really does that anymore. A few people do, but most of the newer generation don't have that skill. And having, the website to go to be able to meet the hunter, the landowners, and be able to communicate that way. Most newer kids are going to do that.
Yeah.
Newer hunters like hunter applications throughout the United States is declining because newer hunters aren't being introduced to hunting. Mm-hmm. So that is, kind of another thing I want to do with this website is introduce new people to hunting and the methods of cooking and everything. And, I want to be able to film myself cooking and film my hunts so I can kind of get it out there to newer hunters of, hey, this is a great way to, like you said, to grocery shop.
Well, I stole that from you.
Yeah.
Did that couple shit that you do, like you're at a party. Or this happens to us all the time. Steven's incredibly quiet and reserved at parties. And it's like, oh, Steven's so quiet. And give it a minute. But then he'll tell a joke and I'll hear the joke. I'm like, that's my joke, you motherfucker.
You steal my jokes too.
Both of them.
Yeah.
But you do this yeah, Steven's hilarious. You're like, do you want to be like, I mean, yeah, he is, but it's not his fucking joke. But yeah, so the grocery shopping thing I totally stole from Steven. Yeah. As we're recording, he's like, yeah, that's a good line, looking at me like, you motherfucker. You're gonna that's okay. How many references is that to okay, no, he's doing that.
Yeah.
I'll kill you dead.
I'll kill you dead.
And that's another thing I stole from you.
Yeah.
Please don't murder me. Guys, use this as evidence. I swear to God, remember me. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I know that's been a couple years going, and it's been a learning experience, but that's been with many things. Mm-hmm. We're getting alerts. That's the 50th hack attempt we've had on my website.
Yeah.
Fun stuff, guys.
Yeah, that's great. But hey, you have me to protect your website.
You're not supposed to. Traditionally, booth etiquette for me, I don't bring my phone into the booth. Because for a while there, I forget what, when I had an Android phone especially, I forget what it was, but one specific brand of speakers did not like when I had my phone. Mm-hmm. But now that I've switched camps and I am now a Mac user. That was a good reaction.
Thank you.
You're a good actor as long as no one is forcing you to do this stuff. But if it's all right, do that on mic, you're like,
Yeah, I can tell you the emotional intent of a scene, but I can't tell you how to act. It's just like with guitars.
You're dying in your lover's arms. You're like, so more, or
yeah, exactly. Some more death. But it's just like with tuning guitars and drums. I can tell you that they're out of tune. I can't tell you how to tune them. I can tell you they just sound like shit.
But yeah, booth etiquette. We typically leave our phones in. I say we. Me, I'm such a weirdo about my method. And then whenever I see like someone's on their phone, I want to be like, it's totally cool that you're on your phone. But I really want to be like, hey, is it really that important? Especially now that most of us have like iWatches and shit.
Yeah.
The iWatch is a fantastic event.
Yes.
It's an event.
It is. Event Horizon.
What about like haunted house in space and like some Prodigy?
That sounds like a movie.
Let's call it Event Horizon. I want it to star Cowboy Curtis and Dr. Alan Grant.
Sweet.
That is actually Event Horizon.
Yes.
It's a fun one to randomly watch, but it's not a great movie.
No, but it is pretty fun.
Haunted house in space, y'all.
Yes.
Stephen, damn it, you said Event Horizon. I was going somewhere with this.
iPhone event.
Oh, yes. No, that actually reminded me because I was thinking about this the other day as I was thinking about cleaning the toilet, but I didn't. But I thought about it, so that's basically the same thing. You know?
Uh-huh. I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with this.
No, but I was thinking about, I'm just telling you where I was as I was thinking about something else. You need to know these. It's that, what is it? Like that old Dave Chappelle's setup where it's men are who, what, when, why, where, and women are like, see, you have to understand. I was on the first day of my parents like, bitch, give me the goddamn concrete details. Sorry about that microphone, but no, for Christmas this year, we've never, ever been able to wait till Christmas.
No, even birthdays.
Birthdays, yeah. I think if we had kids or something, we'd like show them more like, hey, you know, like wait for this or whatever. I'd like to move, excuse me. And it's a crowded booth in here, you guys.
Oh, it's so crowded. Oh.
All right, now you're a shitty actor.
Yeah.
But for Christmas this year, or last year, because Steven's such a big hunter and everything, I'm like, oh, you know, like I really want to consider that, and like blah blah blah. And so I had my best friend help me like pick this one specific thing, and like help me like pin down exactly what brand and all this stuff. And Steven did the same thing with Sarah as well. So Sarah knew this was happening, but we just couldn't wait any longer. And it was like December, like 1st when we switched presents or something. And, like had our presents behind our back and then said, just hold your hand out. And I had my eyes closed and I had this very like slim box in my hand. And I'm not going to lie. My first thought was, did he get me a vibrator? I mean, you do you, boo, but it's just the way he's like, yeah, it's something that you've always wanted for yourself, but you would never get yourself. And I'm like, but like a vibrator, like he's really excited about giving me a vibrator. And Steven, I guess you couldn't figure out what I got you, but when we opened our eyes, we had both given each other watches. Aww. 13 years.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, so of course we immediately both text Sarah, like, you knew? She's like, yeah, it was funny.
Yeah.
So what else, Stephen?
So that's basically what I've been Jesus. That's basically what I've been doing since I left Funimation. Now I'm helping you on your new little adventure project.
I'm helping you too. We're working on something. It's really kind of cool to like really plan out the filming.
Yeah. You're helping me. Like you don't know, Terri.
I am helping you.
Terri is helping me with filming my own cooking stuff. So it's kind of in we're idea stage right now, trying to figure out the technical aspect of it. So we have a very small kitchen, and being able to film everything and do everything, up to, not necessarily our standards, but a fun way of doing it.
Fun way. We're big fans of cooking shows. Like we watch a lot of Bon Appetit things on YouTube.
Binging with Babbage.
Babish is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out Binging with Babish, it's great if you're a fan of television and film, because he's like, hey, and he'll make stuff from anime even, which I love anime food. I really want, like, if only someone could talk to Babish about making Sebastian's curry buns from Black Butler, that would be great.
Yes.
And I would probably die happy. But Tatum would also probably have to help out with the voiceover. Those are my rules. Damn it. But Tatum doesn't know this, but he's got a VO gig coming. Just tell Babish about it, and I'm sure his people will talk to Tatum's people, which is Tatum. And anyways, yeah, we watch all these things. Brad Leone with his It's Alive series, and Chris Morocco from Bon Appetit, all these people. I love them, but there's also some hunting stuff, and that's where we've noticed that there's a lot of, like, Steve Rinella and Randy Newberg. I almost said Newman.
Yeah, Randy Newberg.
You know, when he's not composing stuff.
Yeah.
Why not also be a hunter? But they've got cooking segments, but it's really just about hurrying up and cooking the animal, it seems to me, where you're about, I don't know, food is a celebration to me.
Yeah.
Food is love.
Yeah, food is, like, I enjoy cooking for people, and it's an expression for me because I don't talk that much. It's my way of expressing, kind of myself. And I enjoy it. So being able to show people that in a fun way and kind of educate people in cooking. Because that's the other thing. A lot of people are just totally baffled on, well, how do I cook this deer?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you cook a steak?
Well, because the first thing people say if I'm talking about venison, they're like, oh, it's so chewy. I'm like, well, whoever made that for you didn't know how to cook fucking deer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, it can be chewy if you don't do it right. It can be gamey if you don't do it right. Like, all the deer that we've had hasn't been gamey.
No.
Because you have to prepare it right.
I think the first time I had deer that wasn't horrible, there was a guy at Funimation. When I was a director there and you were an engineer there, he had, like, once a season, because his family has land, would bring deer jerky that they made themselves. I'm like, oh my God, it was like the best thing ever. I cook. And I'm sufficient enough, but I'm not confident, and especially compared to you, because you worked in kitchens. You used to work in kitchens all the time, as well as engineer. You've just got, like, because, you used to do, like, fucking line cooking, where it's like, boom, 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 you gotta get shit out.
Yeah.
So you're a lot quicker about stuff. I feel like I make an unnecessary mess, and that no matter what, I'm like, I hate that I'm serving you, because it's like, oh, you would have done this. Unless it's a dish that I grew up with. Like,
yeah.
I make mostly Mexican dishes, and I make a lot of mixes, like hummus, guacamole. I can make enchiladas, migas. You'd never had traditional migas before.
No, not at all.
Chorizo, which I think the first time we had it, we had soy riso or whatever the fuck. And that's one thing that I wish that I'd really known as a vegetarian. I wish I hadn't always tried to, like, hey, I need a mock meat. Like,
yeah, that was the other thing that we did so wrong. It was just like,
I'd say the main thing we did wrong is all that fucking soy, dude.
Yeah, all the soy, all the processed food, all the, fake meats, in boxes and everything. Like, we don't get any kind of boxed foods anymore. Everything's...
No, what's that rule? It's like, basically, don't go inside the grocery store. Like, don't go to the inner shelves, go to the outside and just leave everything else.
Yeah.
But so many people, there have been people that have done vegetarianism wrong to an extent where they lose their hair. Because it's really easy to do. Be like, hey, did you know Cheetos are vegetarian? Like, yeah, don't eat those.
Yeah, same thing with Oreos. Don't eat them.
No. But a Newman's mock Oreo, or what are they? They're just like chocolate thins or something.
Yeah, just
don't
simple,
eat them.
simple ingredients. Just do that. Don't do any processed bullshit.
But it's so. Hell, I actually, as of this recording, tomorrow I'm going to my first ever cooking class.
Yes.
The theme is Little Italy.
And you're going to learn how to cook stuff I don't know how to make.
Like a salad? That's what I start off with. Meatballs, pasta from scratch, and a gelato.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm doing crepes soon.
Mm-hmm. Croissants.
Croissant. I do love a croissant. Like crepes 3 ways, different croissants.
Mm-hmm. A knife handling class.
Basics and knives, where they really emphasize in the descriptions, like, please wear closed-toe shoes. I'm like, why? But that's all just to kind of feel confident enough. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, with some of the hunting, not knocking the hunter shows that are like, hey, cook it, but it just seems so like hey, here's a really quick and dirty way to use this meat. I'm like, yes, but what about the other ingredients? They're focusing so much on the meat. I'm like, I want the overall thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where, Steve Rinella will, show a little bit more what to do with the meat than, some of the other ones. But both, like, the two that I really, kind of follow is Steve Rinella and Randy Newberg. I grew up not really hunting all that much. And so most of my knowledge came from reading and watching these shows and learning, doing this, and then actually getting out in the field and going, oh, this doesn't work at all. Mm-hmm. And learning that way. So they're a great resource, and I would like to just, kind of add on to it too. Because, I'm sure that a lot of our followers don't necessarily either know about them or have a desire to hunt, but I would like to be able to kind of introduce anybody that's listening to them.
Well, I think even if, because we shop at Whole Foods, and, we can actually ask where the meat is from, which is a big deal. And sometimes they're like, I actually can't tell you where this is from. I'm like, all right, can you give me something where you can tell me where this is from?
Yeah.
Like that matters to me at least.
Yeah.
So even if you're not literally hunting for this stuff yourself, you can still be more mindful of what you're cooking with. Yeah,
it's like buying salmon from farm-raised places. Farm-raised salmon has no color to it. It's just this gray blob because they don't naturally eat what would give them the pinkish color. So most farm-raised salmon, they add dyes to the meat to make it look like it should.
Yeah.
And some of them, like even at Whole Foods, they have dyes added, but it's from carrots, like it's the beta carotene in the carrots to give them that color. And that's more acceptable than going, I don't know, this is red number 40 that we added to the fish. It's like, why would you?
Red 40! Yeah!
Why would you eat that shit?
All right, see, like I'm totally saying that. And it's like that same thing. Oh, another like guilty pleasure show that's cooking-wise, Cutthroat Kitchen. But I forget which judge it was. Or he's like, like as chefs, we like to pretend we don't eat fast food, but we totally fucking do. But that's actually like a big thing with even Sarah. She's like, oh, I want to go to Whataburger, but you don't eat fucking Whataburger. Or, excuse me, she says Waterburger because she's from Texas. I say Whata. That's a big thing here in Texas is if I say Whataburger, I guess that gives it away that I'm not, I wasn't born and raised here. I was just raised here. But I'm like, dude, I'll do some fucking Whataburger. And she'll get so excited. Like, really? I don't do fast food all that often. Pardon me. But, yeah, there's some guilty pleasure stuff. A big road snack. It's really bad, especially if I'm traveling alone, which if I'm going to like Houston to record or just going to a con or something and I'm alone and I'm driving, flaming hot Cheetos happen. Or hot fries. If they don't have hot fries, they have flaming hot Cheetos. Hot fries are a thing, but it's like because I've learned so much about food or whatever, it seems like the more and more like times that I like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just get some fucking Doritos. It doesn't taste like food to me anymore. The second it hits my tongue, it's like, chemicals.
Yeah, because you get used to, to the flavors of whole food.
You know what? What if we just sound super pretentious?
We probably do. I don't know. I mean, it was like back in the day, people used to call organic food just food. You didn't have the designation of organic in front
All right,
of
now
it.
you sound pretentious. It's that Simpsons episode where they're trying to be healthy and like their food starts like going bad like before it's even it's even in the paper bag.
Yeah. God, it goes bad so fast.
But yeah, it's just fun. I mean, it's always interesting just to think how much healthier we get each time we go around. Like, I actually suffer from an autoimmune disease, which went undiagnosed till I was about 27. Mm-hmm. And, like, hey, what are some things like, well, you have to take this medication every day for the rest of your life. But, here are some other things you can do. And a big thing is eating lots of greens and, just eating healthy shit. And I have to get my blood checked every 6 months and do blood tests to make sure that the medication's doing what it needs to do. And you can tell, they can always kind of tell through the blood. They're like, how are you eating? I'm like, well, I need you to know that that it has been a very busy time. And they're like, well, your cholesterol is telling me that this busy time's involving a lot of cheese. I'm like,
or KFC.
No, okay, see, that's a big thing that I am still shocked by. This dude was like a vegetarian for 14 fucking years when I met him. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he's obsessed with KFC.
It's so good. It's so bad.
We're a big fan of the Try Guys, that formerly of BuzzFeed. Now they've got their own channel. They have since, I think last year, April last year. And, Keith Habersberger. Habersberg or Habersberg? Keith Habersberg. I don't know.
Steen.
Ville. And Keith Habersberger Steenville. He's obsessed with fried chicken. And anytime we watch a video and Keith has fried chicken, I'm like, what the hell is it? But you're actually very easily manipulated by television food.
Yeah.
Dean, anytime we watch Supernatural,
yeah.
If Dean's eating pie, guess what? We're getting pie. If Dean has a really good burger, and Steven's like, we have to get that burger. I'm like, this whole episode is about how the burger is making people fucking like brain dead or whatever.
It's road food burgers.
Oh, no.
But it's just Southern food. Like I'm easily influenced on Southern food.
I'm gonna call it's all food.
If it's barbecue, like I immediately crave barbecue. Mm-hmm. Barbecue's so good.
Barbecue is good. Or we were watching Queer Eye. I really want to do like that Jones barbecue from because we're going to Missouri in May, and that looks good. I'm sorry, I keep coupling all over you. Like, we do this, we watch this.
Oh God, we just coupled all over the floor.
Oh, well, that just sounds like screwing.
Yeah,
coupled.
Weird.
It's a coupling, and that's gross.
Stop.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear a recording of that.
No.
I love you, but no.
So
how did we get here so quickly?
I don't know.
And this is with I believe the director's cut.
I think it is too. I did hear like his original like lines in there.
Sorry, that's quoting. So I guess I have to beep that out.
Yeah. Or you can just beep out the last part.
There are
Yeah.
See, it's enough, like, we knew that we were going to be doing this, and I still, like, watched it last weekend as I was putting together my study.
Yeah, it's such a good movie.
It's a good one. And that guy kind of fell off the map. I think the last thing new that I saw him in was... backstory. But it was a film. It's like, oh, and this dude, like, apparently he went through a bunch of stuff, came back, and I think he's still working. But that's what sometimes you can see an actor and they're like quintessentially 80s or 90s. Because this film is very much a product of its time. Sometimes you can watch something and just know by the setting or the makeup style, like when this was done, even if it's supposed to be taking place in the future. Obviously, this was shot on film.
Yeah. And this is actually brighter because I remember watching it as a kid, and it was just so dimly lit. Mm-hmm. Like it was such a dark film.
I actually, until you said something, I'm like, I don't remember seeing her that well.
Yeah.
This character on screen right now, or seeing her costume that well. It was always kind of shadow.
In the shadows, yeah.
Yeah. Or even like the main guy that him yeah. Didn't think about that.
Now we're watching it.
It happens.
It does. So, yeah.
Well, okay, so as we near the end, I'd say we've still got... Hold on. Wait. I have to hear this. Hold on. Yeah, it's the director's cut. Like, I had to hear the... There it is. Yeah, that's his voice. You ain't... This is the director's cut, son. It's weird to call your husband son. Sorry.
That's really weird.
Sorry.
It happens.
I mean, I guess it did, so right.
Yes.
But I'm glad we got to talk about hunting. I'm also I wasn't expecting to talk about hunting, but the second it just kind of got to that thing, like we should talk about trophy hunting.
Yeah, no.
That's been a really big thing.
Yeah.
And I think you get bugged about it a lot now that they know you're a hunter, let alone an archery hunter.
Yeah, a lot of people are baffled that I only archery hunt. And I don't know. I guess I'm baffled about how they're taken aback by it. That I won't hunt with guns just because it's more of a challenge. I enjoy, getting up close because it's one thing where you can be like, 400 yards away and shoot a gun and kill an elk and be like, cool, I got that, versus 60 yards away and getting an elk. It's
to me, it reminds me of very old Nick Swardston set where he's like, I would rather get shot than stabbed because getting shot would be like, oh God, I think I was shot. But like getting stabbed, like you're there the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just got stabbed. It's coming back. Like, but very much with the arrow too is I've seen like we've got targets and a bunch of other stuff that we just throw in the yard and the dog hides while Stephen does a bit of target practice, or you just found a new range, which is fun.
Yeah. Man, side note, I never noticed that before. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because
I think it's part of the director's cut.
Yeah, that's a new thing. But yeah, I
thought it was just me.
Yeah. But I found a new archery range where I was able to sight in my new bow sight. And it was great. Like it was nice just to be out there with fellow archers, and it was kind of a weird thing of going, cool, we just all shot our arrows. Now we have to go get them at the same time instead of, getting them when you're done.
There's not like an arrow caddy?
Yeah, there's no arrow caddy. Like once you're done shooting, you have to wait for the others to finish off their arrows before you can go.
And they're all there for like different things, right?
Yeah. Some of them are there for, the same reason I was, sighting it in. Others were there for, actually right now this weekend is a archery contest. So they just like 3D, which are, 3D lifelike archery targets of animals to, win prize money for the best shot. So they were out there practicing for that. But yeah. We can only do 20 yards in our yard.
I mean, in this yard, who knows? But the yard's busy. We've got gardening and
no more bees. My bees are gone.
Did we have? Okay, we did have bees because Tatum was allergic. We found out.
That's right.
I'm like, well, dude, as long as you don't like go up and shake it, you're fine. He's like, no thanks.
Yeah, my bees are gone.
We actually went through 2 hives of bees, I think, since that anime show.
Yeah, the first hive was killed by the city because
aerial spraying.
Yeah, they were spraying for West Nile, and they said, "Oh yeah, it doesn't hurt pollinators." And then a week later, my hive was dead. And then the last one I had for a little bit longer, and they got robbed. Basically, what happens is during spring, when one hive has enough honey stores and another one in the area does not, drones go out and find, a hive that does and be like, oh, hey, you guys got a lot of honey. And then they come and swarm the hive and rob them. And my hive couldn't defend itself enough. So most of my bees died. The queen realized that the hive was weak and then just left. So then the rest of the hive followed her to start a new hive. Yeah, so no more bees.
Well, did we have chickens still?
We had chickens too.
Oh God, yeah. Like basically, I hear some of you groaning saying "fucking hipsters." Fuck you. No, we always wanted chickens too, and bees. You were so happy. They really helped our garden.
Yeah.
And the honey from it was just fantastic because honey local to your area really helps with allergies and all this. But we just dug on it. It wasn't just, a fad or anything for us, but chickens, kind of like, what was it? Chickens can be illegal in this city, but for our city, it isn't. But you're not supposed to have a rooster. And there's clearly another neighbor that has a fucking rooster.
Yeah.
That would trying to call our chickens or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, dick.
Yeah, I think they finally ate that rooster.
But, we had one that was sick.
Yeah, one got sick, and it had a disease called gape worm, which they get worms in their esophagus from eating snails. So I killed that one because she was dying anyway, and I didn't want her to suffer, so I killed that one.
I think that was, side note, I actually think I was at a convention when you decided that.
Yes.
I was at a convention.
No, you were at a convention for another one that I was going to kill.
Okay.
We'll
get to that in a minute then. And then there was one morning where the chickens would not shut up. It was even making Zoe, our dog, anxious. I'm like, all right, these bitches won't shut up. And you found out, there was one that had gotten decapitated overnight by a raccoon or a fox.
It was either a raccoon or a possum. They just eat the head of the chicken and then leave.
And then we left the chickens unattended for the morning like we normally would, and the chickens pecked on it.
Yeah.
Not a living chickens!
Chickens are cannibals, and so they were eating the body of their fellow sister.
They're dinosaurs.
They are dinosaurs.
And then, yes, I forget what happened to the other one.
The other one stayed alive. Like we had two left, and we gave them both away.
No, okay, so what was the one?
The one that I tried to butcher her, but I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it was okay, yeah, they say, if you're going to raise animals to be food, not to name them. And we actually did buy these 4 chickens that we got specifically because their breed was quiet for the city. What were they?
They were called Red Stars. They're also known as Red Sex Links.
Super chill.
Yeah, super chill. Great egg producers. Great for, cooking as well.
Their eggs were bigger, and you didn't. I learned this for farm fresh eggs, you don't have to refrigerate them. They're good for 6+ months. Which a bunch of people, when I would bring stuff up for people at the studio, be like, I think you're wrong. If you don't refrigerate eggs, they go bad. I'm like, well, I'm telling you as someone who fucking has chickens that you're wrong.
Yeah, if you wash them immediately. Then yes, you immediately have to put them in the fridge, and they can only last 2 weeks then. Right. But if you don't wash them, it has a membrane on the egg that protects the yolk from oxygen, which is what causes the oxidation and the rotting of the egg.
Eggs all around have always been a thing because when we were vegetarians, we didn't have eggs, but then we slowly started introducing things, and eggs was a big thing, and people argue about eggs. And they're like, all right, so you're vegetarian, but you eat eggs? And they're like, yeah, that's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's not. An egg is just a single cell.
For real. So we decided, because we had 2 chickens left and we'd had them long enough, that they were slowing down their production.
Yeah, they go through something called henopause, where they just stop producing eggs.
I don't know if you've ever referred to it as that.
It's henopause.
Did you come up with that?
No, I didn't.
Thank God.
But chickens are like humans. They have a certain number of eggs, and when they stop producing them, they just become pets at that point.
Well, and they were really, really... Zoe actually protected them. There was a couple, for the first year, she's like, do I want to eat you? And then it was just whatever. And the chickens also quickly learned, oh, it's just the dog. They kept their area clean. They, minimized bugs.
Yeah, they gave me fertilizer for the garden.
Yeah, they were great. But I'm like, okay, well, since they're not producing, we decided, we'll like, Steven knows how to butcher an animal. I'm at a fucking con, and I get a text while on a panel, being unprofessional, checking my phone while on a panel. I can't do it. I can't kill her. And I'd forgotten about the chicken thing. I actually like, hey, would you guys mind if I step away for a second? And they're like, yeah, sure. I'm like, yeah, guys, I'll be right back. Sorry. And called you like, hey, what's up? Which I guess says how much I love you. Like, because my husband's leaving me this cryptic fucking, I can't do it. I can't kill her. I'm like, oh, hey guys, can you excuse me? My husband might be murdering someone and he's having a problem. Really, like, maybe literally pulling the trigger. No, we established he doesn't like guns. It would be with an arrow. Yeah. And yeah, it was just, I can't do it. And so we asked, I think we just posted it like, hey, we have chickens to good home. Don't care. Like, they're great. And like, and it was this little girl that was just so excited.
Yeah, she just wanted a pet chicken.
She was so excited and so happy. Did they take both of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
or they were both really good actors. They're like, oh, she's so pretty.
Oh, yeah. Turned to lunch. But yeah, we named them. So like I developed just kind of like fuck, I can't kill these
Looking
things.
in your beautiful, terrifying eyes.
Yeah.
And chickens can be vicious. I saw one really attacked my brother once, but he was fucking with him. So like this chicken just went, you know what, bitch, and just pecked the shit out of him. But there was Shira, Muriel, Monica. No. Did we have a Monica? Rex.
Yeah, one was T-Rex. And one was, no, Monica named the other one Kim, after Kim Jong-un.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was not. Someone help me remember. Maybe it's from an old bad animation. It was not Kim.
I think it was.
No.
Maybe it was just Monica.
And Muriel was a combination of Marie and Joel, because Joel McDonald and Marie, I'd say Marie helped to build our chicken coop, which we still have, and it's just like surrounded by weeds.
Yeah. But
it's like the Addams Family house if it was a chicken coop.
I need to get Ron over to help me move it so we can
Ronald!
have chickens. Ron, come over.
Yeah, it just so much. I mean, we still have our Z, our rescue chocolate lab mix Zoe, who is, I think I did in my acknowledgments, or no, under the about the author thing in my book, one of few. It's still ruled by like our overlord chocolate lab mix named Zoe.
Yeah.
Which, actually, I forget who I was talking to. Someone new. I'm like, oh, my daughter's name is Zoe. I'm like, that's the name of my dog. Like,
yeah, it's a good dog's name.
It's a real. Okay, but how many Zoe dogs have you heard? There are a lot of dogs named Zoe. I have never met a human named Zoe.
No.
I've met at least 7 dogs named Zoe.
Yeah.
Met them. Saw their credentials, their background.
Did you shake their hands?
Shook their paws because they have no opposable thumbs.
This is true. Yes. This right here is a product of 10,000 years of evolution.
It's a really good thing this is an audio podcast.
I know, right here.
This right here.
Opposable thumb.
Were you trying to make a sound? Oh, I think I made a pop.
Yeah. Is this that ASMR?
ASMR.
Yeah.
I actually, there's a new show that Caitlin is working on, and Colleen had never heard of it.
Yeah.
And the second she heard it, she was like, oh, I hate that. And I kind of went, come on, in my mind. But I heard, what was it? There's like a podcaster, like that's her whole shtick.
Yeah.
Is the ASMR thing. And I made it like maybe 10, 20 seconds.
What is it like?
Hey guys, everything. First of all, me as a voiceover asshole, whispering is like one of the worst things you can do for your voice. Because, your vocal cords aren't a muscle, they're tissue. And so you're actually forcing the tissue to forcibly stay open when they want to close. Especially if you're whispering in an attempt to try to save your voice, it actually does more harm. more harm. I don't know.
I heard that. I didn't say anything, but yes.
More harm.
There's the booth loop.
Booth loop?
Yeah.
Booth badness. I don't know. I sound like someone that should have like a kid named Bort.
Bort.
We need more Bort license plates.
There's something wrong with that stop sign.
Still stupidly funny. That was actually, like, we were talking about the Simpsons movie because we were at a con in San Antonio. If you haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, you need to. It was amazing. Saw it twice on Christmas Day. But this one artist, Freddie Lopez, phenomenal artist. He had this Spider-Ham poster, and I passed it immediately, like on a lunch break, because I couldn't really leave. So when I can't leave at a convention, I'm like, hey, and Steven's with me. I'm like, hey, can you kind of walk the floor and see if there's something we need to go to? And I passed it. I'm like, can you go see how much Spider-Ham is? I love Spider-Ham, and it has nothing to do with my obsession with John Mulaney at all. If we'd gone to high school together, I definitely would have been painfully in love with him. And a thing for scrawny white dudes, what can I say? As I look at you.
Hello.
But, or just scrawny dudes that talk like, like 60-year-old grandpas. That's also you.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's valid.
And you ended up talking to his wife while you were there.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole thing was that they were really happy that you called him Spider-Ham and not Spider-Pig.
They
like,
were so
like
happy.
Homer.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is Spider-Pig?
Yeah, he was just like, anybody calls him Spider-Pig, I won't sell it to him. And
That's justifiable.
She was just like, you're going to sell it to him because you can't refuse money. Did the whole, marriage thing. But
the really cool thing is they also, Freddie had also done this breathtaking Captain Marvel artwork, and I forget how you guys brought it up, but
I just told him that I was just like, how much is Captain Marvel? And she was just like, oh, blah blah blah. I was like, I don't know. It's like my wife really wants it, but I don't know. She did voice Captain Marvel in this death battle thing, and they're just like, oh, cool. But yeah, sorry.
No, and that's what I wanted to hear, but. You came back to the table, you got Spider-Ham and this Captain Phasma thing that he did, and also a K2SO, another obsession. And we were sitting at our table, and his wife came by and just gave us Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Which I never heard you be that loud in public. You're like, are you serious? I'm like, what? And it's like, yeah, da-da-da. Enjoy. I'm like, what? Why? It's so cool. And it's on my vanity wall in the studio. It totally is. Be like, oh, by the way, yeah.
Oh, look at
Freddie
this.
Lopez. It's totally signed and everything.
Yes.
That's how I talk when I'm trying to be impressive. I also say things like a douche, like Jaguar.
Jaguar, one of the worst cars you can have.
How dare you? I love a Jaguar.
They're cool looking, but they're completely unreliable.
I've actually never ridden in one. I only know that I like saying Jaguar.
Yeah.
To the point where I've actually had to say Jaguar in shows, and then I fucking say it right. I'm like, I am trying.
They're one of the most unreliable cars out there.
Oh, well. Sorry, Jaguar.
Yeah.
Jaguar. Well, dude, we're hitting the credits.
We are. Awesome.
That went by really cool. This was definitely the director's cut. I can't believe it. You're like, I don't want to do the director's cut.
Yeah,
you picked it.
I did, but it didn't say it on the thing.
Typically for most of the films, I want to try to stick to streaming. We've got, but we often are going to have to buy or purchase, be it streaming or not, the film. And that's one of the reasons that we'll probably look at something like Ko-Fi, but probably not Patreon, and to see whoever can help out if they enjoy the show. Just leave us a little tip for like a quote unquote cup of coffee, and we can continue to buy the films. But luckily was streaming both the original and the director's cut on one of the services we already have. So that worked out. But I guess we were watching both, and we've got the original film on DVD. But yeah, I guess Steven thought he was playing one, and we ended up watching the director's cut, which is a little longer, so that worked out.
Yay. Cool. Thank you for letting me be on your show.
Thank you for being my first guest.
Hey, you're welcome.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Stephen, if they want to follow you on social media, how do they do that?
No Name Hoff on Twitter and Instagram. And then for my Hunt In, it is hunt_INN on Instagram.
And I think you've got a link on your Insta for Hunted.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Please follow him. If you're not already following me, Terri Doty, Twitter, and also Obscure Chatter at Obscure Chatter. It's pretty simple. I'm not trying to trick you. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you next time. Obscure Chatter. Bye.